Two people, same job, same salary, same city. 10 years later, one of them is quietly worth over $500,000. The other is still living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where all the money went. Same income, completely different outcomes. What separated them? It wasn't investing skill. It wasn't luck. It wasn't some secret stock tip or a rich uncle. It was one decision made at one specific number, and almost nobody talks about it. That number is $50,000. And what happens at this milestone will completely change how you think about money, wealth, and time.
This is Wealth Flip, and I study the psychology and math behind why some people build real wealth while most people never get there.
Subscribe if you want to understand how money actually works, not just how people pretend it does. Before I show you what happens at $50,000, I need to explain something that most financial advice completely skips over. There are invisible financial thresholds in your life, lines you cross where the entire game changes. Most people cross them without even realizing it. Or worse, they never cross them at all. The first threshold is $10,000. This is where you stop being completely vulnerable. A $10,000 emergency fund means a broken car or surprise medical bill doesn't destroy your entire financial life. The second threshold, which I covered in a previous video, is $20,000. This is where your psychology shifts. You stop thinking like someone who's surviving and start thinking like someone who's building. But $50,000? This is a completely different animal. This is where something happens that I call the wealth ignition point. And once you understand what it is, you'll never look at your savings account the same way again.
Let's start with the cold hard math, because the numbers here are genuinely shocking. If you have $50,000 invested in a broad index fund, earning an average of 8% annually, something remarkable happens. Your money generates $4,000 every single year completely on its own. That's $333 every month, showing up whether you work that month or not. Now, here's where it gets interesting. That $4,000 per year your money is generating, it gets reinvested. And next year, it generates returns too. Your money is literally making money that makes more money. Compare that to $5,000 invested at the same 8% return. That generates just $400 per year, $33 a month. That barely covers a dinner out. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel meaningful. It's easy to ignore or spend. But $4,000 a year? $333 a month? That's a car payment. That's groceries. That's real money doing real work. And this is the exact point where most people start to feel their wealth building, instead of just hoping it will. Here's the timeline reality check. If you're saving $1,000 a month and earning 8% returns, getting to $50,000 takes about 4 years. 4 years of discipline, consistency, and saying no to things you want right now so you can have everything you want later. But here's what happens after that. Your next $50,000 takes only about 3.5 years, because now you've got that first $50,000 working alongside your contributions. The one after that, about 3 years. The math accelerates, and it accelerates fast. But here's the thing most people completely miss, and this is the part that actually matters most. $50,000 milestone isn't just about the math. It's about what it does to your options. And options are the real currency of wealth. Think about it this way. When you have $50,000 saved and invested, you have what I call a real safety net. Not just an emergency fund, an actual platform to make decisions from a position of strength instead of fear. Your boss makes your job miserable? You can take 6 months off to find something better without your whole life collapsing. A once-in-a-decade investment opportunity shows up? You can actually consider it instead of watching it pass by because you're broke. A health issue forces you to work less for a year? You have the runway to handle it without financial disaster. Below $50,000, life happens to you. Above $50,000, you happen to life. That's not motivational poster nonsense. That's just what options do to your decision-making power.
Now let's talk about what $50,000 does to your brain, because this is where things get really fascinating. When you cross the $50,000 mark, your relationship with risk completely changes. And I don't mean you become reckless, I mean the opposite. You become strategically bold in a way that broke people simply cannot be. Here's what I mean. When you have nothing saved, every risk feels existential. Asking for a raise feels dangerous, because what if they fire you? Starting a side business feels impossible, because what if it fails and you lose money you can't afford to lose? Leaving a bad relationship, whether work or personal, feels terrifying, because your whole financial stability might be tied to it. Fear makes you small, and financial fear is one of the most paralyzing forces in a person's life. But when you have $50,000 behind you, the math of risk changes entirely. You can absorb a failure. You can survive a gap in income. You can take a calculated bet on yourself without betting your entire life on it. Studies in behavioral economics consistently show that people with financial buffers make significantly better long-term decisions than people without them. Not because they're smarter, but because they're not operating from panic. Clear thinking is a financial superpower, and $50,000 buys you a lot of clear thinking. There's also something else that happens at this level that nobody prepares you for. You start attracting different opportunities. Not magically, psychologically. When you walk into a negotiation knowing you can walk away, your energy is completely different. People sense confidence. Employers sense it. Business partners sense it. Even potential clients sense it. Money changes how you carry yourself, and how you carry yourself changes the money that finds you.
Remember those two people I mentioned at the beginning? Same job, same salary, completely different outcomes 10 years later? Here's what actually happened. Person A hit $20,000 in savings and felt great about it, so they bought a new car. Then rebuilt to $20,000 again and took a nice vacation. Then rebuilt again and used it as a down payment on a house they couldn't really afford. They spent a decade resetting to zero every time they hit a milestone. Person B hit $20,000 and kept going. Hit $50,000 and felt the shift. Kept going. At $50,000, they had enough confidence to negotiate a 15% raise at work because they could genuinely afford to walk away. That raise compounded over 10 years. Their investments compounded. Their confidence compounded. At year 10, Person A is starting over, again. Person B is approaching $500,000 in net worth. Same income, same starting point, one decision. Keep the $50,000 or reset it. The wealth gap between these two people wasn't created by income. It was created by the moment one of them decided that their savings account was not a spending account in disguise.
Here's where I need to be brutally honest with you, because this is where most people blow it. The closer you get to $50,000, the louder the voice in your head gets telling you that you deserve to spend it. You've been disciplined, you've sacrificed, you've said no 100 times. Surely you can reward yourself now. And maybe you can. A small reward is healthy. But here's the trap. Most people don't take a small reward. They take a $30,000 car, or a $15,000 vacation, or they use it as a down payment on a lifestyle they haven't actually earned yet. And just like that, they're back below the threshold, back below $20,000, back in survival mode, back where fear makes their decisions instead of strategy. The $50,000 is not a reward. It is the launch pad. It is the point where your money transitions from savings to a wealth-generating engine. Spending it resets the engine. Keeping it lets it run. And once it's running, it runs faster every single year.
Look, $50,000 sounds like a lot if you're starting from zero. I get that. But you don't need to get there all at once. You just need to know it's the target. Because when you know what you're building toward and why, every sacrifice you make along the way has a reason attached to it. The $10 coffee you skipped isn't about the $10. It's about the launch pad. The car you didn't upgrade isn't about the car. It's about the engine. Every dollar you don't spend is a brick in a foundation that will one day do the heavy lifting for you.
Most people will never reach $50,000 because they'll spend every dollar before it gets a chance to work. Don't be most people. Your future self is either going to thank you for building the launchpad or wonder why you never did. The decision is being made right now with every dollar you earn. If this changed how you see your savings, smash that like button. It tells YouTube to show this to more people who need to hear it. And subscribe, because next week, we're talking about the exact order you should invest your money, and most people are doing it completely backwards.